Well, hello, DCO Nation. Welcome to Deadcom Outdoors Radio. This is the show where the tide set the tone and the bite tells the story. We're diving into everything saltwater inshore kayak fishing, from lures and locations to weather, water, and winning tactics. If it helps you hook up on more fish, we're talking about it right here. So grab your paddle, check your drag, and here we go. Well, hello, DCO Nation, and welcome to Deadcom Outdoors right here on the Outdoor Radio Network. My name is Chris, and I'd like to invite all of you guys to follow me on my social medias. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and I think that's all of them, or at least that's enough for me. I can't keep up with the ones that I've got right now. But anyway, guys, search Deadcom Outdoors and we can get connected. I am actually super excited to talk with Captain Chris Regan tonight. And I tell you, before we actually jumped on and started to record, we were already diving into it. And of course, we had to give the hang on, timeout. Let's save it for the listening audience here. So, Captain Chris, I really appreciate you jumping on tonight.
Yo, anytime. I'm always here.
Yeah. So, Captain Chris is a charter captain with Carolina Hook and Fly, and he charters out of Murrells Inlet. And we're definitely going to make sure that he passes along all of his information. And if you guys happen to don't get the information that he puts out, it is all down in the description on YouTube and Spotify. So, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But Captain Chris, let's talk about, the changes that we're going through right now. February was awful. We're finally starting to get some decent weather in. I've seen, it was 70s over the weekend. It's almost mid-March. So, what kind of trends are you starting to see now in the inlet?
I think a lot of it, the water's definitely warming up. We're starting to get, you've been out there, you've seen it, the snotgrass bloom, that's in full effect. It's everywhere. You can see it. Still got good clarity of the water. There's still, 6 to 8 foot of viz pretty much anywhere you go. In some places it's even more, but everything's warming up. Everything is right where it should be. We're on the backside of the full moon. That was last week. So a lot of fish moved in. Saw some good reports of some good speckled trout being caught today. The last couple of days, like you say, it's been beautiful. So surface temps are definitely warming up. I'm ready for it. I'm done with the cold, working outside, doing all that stuff. It was a brutal winter, and we got super cold. So it's just taking a little bit longer for things to heat up. But this, I truly believe the next new moon, if not the next full moon, we're going to see a big push of fish coming into the inlet. So we've got that going for us. This Friday, they're doing the first one in South Carolina, from what they're saying. 100,000 flounder being released at the boat ramp. So yeah, that's only going to make fishing even better.
Yeah. So I just got I think it was an email from the Grand Strand Saltwater Anglers, and they're going to be out there for that release. I'm actually going to be out of town. I'm going to be in Nashville for the weekend. So,
that's where I'm going to be.
Yeah. So, but so it is 100,000 southern flounder.
They're gauging it off. I don't think there's an exact number, but there's a lot of them. So they're all juveniles. So, you'll be able to catch them this year. They're not going to be keepers, but by next year they should be ready to go.
Man, that is absolutely awesome. Yeah, I hate that I'm going to miss that, but that is just absolutely fantastic. I don't mean to kind of go down a rabbit hole, but are they going to do that with any other species, redfish or trout, do any type of releases?
I don't know. I hope they do it for redfish. I would love to see, that amount of fish dumped in there for redfish. Obviously, a lot of them are going to move out, but I think you'll get a good portion of them that'll all become residents here. But flounder's the only one that I know of. I know all last year, I'm sure you saw the seine nets where they were doing the studies, and DNR, they were everywhere. So So this is after seeing them and then now seeing this, it's all good stuff. And I hope it
Yeah.
continues.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so let's kind of jump back here a little bit because you talked about a lot of little things that I want to touch on. So where are you seeing the water temperatures right now? Because I haven't been in Merle's for a couple of weeks now.
You're in the low 60s now.
Okay.
Right like that brink, that's 60, 61, depending on where you're at and what part of the tide you're in. But I mean, it's been sunny days, and now it's gonna be even harder because I mean, allergies and everything else. The pollen is through the roof, where everything's just turning yellow right now. But yeah, no, everything's on a warming trend. I know we're supposed to cool off. I think this next weekend, the long trend forecast has us cooling off a little bit, but I don't think it's going to have a huge effect on us because hopefully it'll just last a couple days and we'll be back to sunny and 75.
Yeah, and I know that you mentioned the snot grass. When I was out a couple of weeks ago, I mean, it's brutal because
It is
if you're fishing for redfish, where are they at? They're on the bottom. Where's that snot grass at? It's
on the bottom.
on the bottom.
Yep,
So,
that's the hard part.
Yeah,
And we
yeah.
deal with it every year. I'm sure it'll just be a couple of weeks and it'll be gone. But yeah, be ready to clean hooks and weights and everything else. That's the hard part with it.
Yeah,
I knew it was bad because we came back and I had to pull a boat today for service, and I mean the power poles were just covered in it.
Yeah, when I was out, I was over by like the Hot Fish Club and the flats over there.
Yeah.
And I had to pull my drive. And when I pulled my drive out, the propeller was just wrapped in this stuff. And you just, and when you say snot, it is, man, it's just nasty. But
it is. Yeah. That's the
so, okay, we got to get off of that. Okay. So let's go. I know we always get hit on redfish and what they're doing. What are you going to start seeing, moving forward now?
Is I think moving forward, you're going to see a lot more smaller groups. There's been big groups of fish, and as this water warms, everything's going to kind of start separating. Some fish are going to work out the jetties, and they could go to a reef or go to another inlet, and you'll have the resident ones. But I think you're just going to see where you'll have a 50 fish group or 20 fish. It's going to go down to 10 or 4. You're just going to see smaller numbers, smaller schools all over the place. Is that I was at the boat ramp today, and I could have swore it was a school of redfish pushing down the bank. It was at low tide first thing this morning. And the amount of mullet that are in the creeks right now is astonishing. And I mean, there's thousands and thousands of them. So I think you're going to see a lot more that are going to be going. They're going to be splitting up. So you'll have the ones, they'll start finding their homes, whether or not they're hanging out by docks or they'll have their favorite oyster bar. That water on the flats is going to be warming up, so you're going to see a lot of fish up there. And hopefully we have an early, they're going to be up there sunning themselves, and hopefully you'll see some, tails up in the air and things like that. So I think it's going to be quick, and I'm ready for it.
Yeah. So am I. So, usually the technique for the winter is kind of that low and slow, I'm going to put it in big air quotes, so now that we're moving on, can you kind of start picking up your pace, almost like that twitch pause and kind of moving it, or do they still want it a little bit like right in their face?
I think you're going to have some fish are going to be one way, some are going to be the other way, but I would definitely say you're going to be able to, everybody now, the TRDs, slow stuff like that. I think you're going to be able to start going into some bigger baits and things like that. So I know the size of mullet that's in the creeks right now, I wouldn't be scared to throw anything bigger. Your 3.5s up to 5s. So your micro baits, I mean, I'll throw a micro bait all year round if I have to.
Yeah.
But I never got on it's not a confidence bait for me. So I don't do a ton of micro baits, even, tournament fishing or anything like that. I think those bigger fish are still going to eat a bigger bait. You go to the bait shops and you look at the shrimp that are being caught, sold live or dead. And I mean, they're hammers. They're big and they're catching fish. So,
I still love the little Slim Swim.
Mhm.
The 3 inch is about the smallest I get now. I don't
Yeah,
go down to I think they make is it a 2.5? But I don't go
they
down to
do.
that 2.5. And
No,
then the Ned shrimp I love. So between those two little, what do you call them, finesse baits,
yeah,
that's what I like to do. But that 3 to 4 inch bait, that's my wheelhouse right there.
that's it.
So
I love it, and my rods, my style of fishing is made for that. Um, I throw a stiffer rod than most. I like a little heavier action. So going
what are you
down,
throwing? What are you throwing?
I'm more of like a medium heavy. I like a strong
Oh, okay.
backbone. Depending on what I'm doing, but like a 3/16 jig head, that's my favorite. That's my go-to. So I
Yep.
the 1/5 and 1/6 and all that. I just have a hard time, especially in current, trying to feel if it's on the bottom, if it's getting swept away. I have a hard time feeling the strike. So I like those heavier ones, and I
Yeah.
pretty much I stick to that. That's my, like I say, that's my confidence.
Yeah, yeah, and that's mine too. I love the 3/16.
Yeah,
I usually don't go to a quarter unless I know that there's some kind of I don't know, a 10-foot hole or
yeah,
something
something
like
deep.
that. Something deep, and I want to kind of work down a ledge or something. That's
Yeah,
really the only time. And then the eighth of an ounce, I'm not pulling out unless I'm pulling my drive with
yeah.
2 feet of water or less. I'm
Oh
not,
yeah.
but everything else, it's 3/4. I mean, I've got a sack that I bulk ordered from Ice Strike over here up on my wall of 3/16 because that's what I just
That's
mow through. So
I'm the same way. Everything that we tournament fish, that's all I throw. So yeah, it's my confidence right there.
yeah, yeah, love it, love it.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
Captain Chris, we're coming up to the end of the first segment. Guys, don't go anywhere. We are breaking down the March trends and techniques. So, guys, you are listening to Dead Calm Outdoors right here on the Outdoor Radio Network. Well, welcome back, DCO Nation. We're talking with Captain Chris Regan with Carolina Hook and Fly. And that first segment, we talked about it off the air here about how quickly it just runs by us. But, we're talking March trends and tactics and techniques and what Captain Chris is seeing out on the water. But let's talk about trout. What are you seeing with trout right now?
I don't. It's amazing because this year we really didn't have a good fall winter trout run. That we never really saw the numbers. We saw a lot of juvenile fish, but as far as like quantities in that 16 to 20-inch range, we didn't see a whole lot of them, not number wise. There was some big females and all that stuff caught, but I don't think we really got that good trout run like we had in the past. So I don't know if we got too cold too quick. Something wasn't right. But today there was, I know a couple of guys that went out there and throwing artificials, small boats, doing stuff like that, just beating banks, and actually did pretty well. So, like I said, we're on the backside of that full moon. So hopefully some of them pushed in and they're going to hang around for a little bit longer. But I don't know. It seems like there's been a decline between last year. You started noticing it, and then this year really started noticing it even more. That we just didn't have that major trout run. So I don't know what's changing. I know a lot of the current's changing around our inlet. Sandbars are shifting, stuff like that. So I don't know if
Okay.
that kind of affected it. If they did that emergency dredging project. So a lot of the point came where they took it out where Party Point is. Now that giant sandbar, I mean, it's almost to the jetties. There's a very small pathway going through there. And then when you notice out front there, that sandbar, I mean, you can go out there and surf just about any day if you get a boat to pull you out there. So I don't know if things like that are changing. And that's what's
Right.
changing the migration of those fish in here, the pattern where they're not, hooking that right to come in our inlet.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I didn't know it was starting to fill back in that quickly.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, they just did that. That's crazy.
it's been constant. And I know a lot of the sand, there was a lot that got put on Huntington Beach, and our predominant wind, that southern wind, I don't know if that's pushing it all back in or what, but
Hmm.
I'm ready to see that dredging project happen in the inlet. That's for sure.
Right, right. So as we're moving into March, we've only got really a couple more weeks in March and then moving into April. Do you see that trout bite starting to pick up a little bit?
I think it will. Like I say, I think this next new moon and then the full moon, I think that's when you're going to see a really big push of fish. With the warming temperatures and stuff like that, and the amount of bait that's in there, I think it's going to be a good April.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
and it
great.
should just transition even further. But hopefully, there's a good school of trout that pushes in there and gain some resident fish out of it. I didn't really see a whole lot of as far as a fish kill from the cold temperatures that we had. Not
Mhm.
like what they had up north or even south of us. I think our fish kind of they were strong, so I don't think we lost any. But I don't know. We'll see because I
Yeah.
mean that's going to affect us too as far as the amount that died up in North Carolina. So
Yeah. Yeah. And that was a pretty significant fish kill up there.
it was.
But yeah, I was hearing the same thing. I really didn't hear about, a trout, stun event around us. So,
No.
which is great. I'm glad that they, could survive that. So that's really
Yeah.
good.
And I think a
So,
lot of it has to do with, the salinity levels in Murrells Inlet. The rain and runoff is the only freshwater that we see, where a lot of those other places, you've got multiple rivers dumping in and stuff like that.
okay.
So, where the ICW pumps out. So I think that's a good thing that might have saved us.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. It really does. Really does. Okay, so let's talk. I know it's still a little bit early for flounder, but here again in the next couple of weeks, they're going to start migrating back in from offshore. So talk to me about, the flounder bite and what you hope to be seeing.
I hope to see, a good amount of numbers. Obviously, the release is going to help us with those. There have been some flounder caught before. I wasn't seeing anything, whether we were push poling through the grass on the mud flats and stuff like that. We weren't spooking any flounder. We weren't doing any of that stuff. So I do know that there has been some pushing in right now. So hopefully that should just continue, especially with the warming trend that we have. Like I say, I don't think the couple of days of cold is going to affect the water temps at all. But yeah, I'm ready for it. There should be a bunch of them in April. They should be marching in here one after
Yeah.
another.
Yeah. Now, will the big flounder push, will that come in with like a full moon tide, one of those king tides, and that's really going to be the thing that really pulls them in?
The biggest migrations that we've seen, especially with the bigger fish that are coming in from offshore, is always around the moon phase.
Okay.
Whether it's the new moon or the full moon, that's when you're going to see your big push of fish coming in.
Okay.
So you'll have
Yeah.
some other ones that are going to trickle in when it's not in the moon phase, but as far as numbers wise, that's when you're going to see them coming.
Okay. All right. So now let's talk about the kind of bait that you're seeing in the creeks right now. When I was down in Charleston last weekend, I was seeing some real small shrimp starting to flick around the grass.
Yeah.
And of course, we had already talked about the amount of mullet that's swimming around and big mullet, all different sizes. So tell me about what you're seeing.
No, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Right around the grass edges, they're half-inch to 1-inch little grass
Yeah.
shrimp. They haven't even really started growing yet, but there's tons of those all throughout there. Just pre-fishing and all that, tournament fishing, same thing, Georgetown area, North Inlet area. You're seeing a lot of that. Same thing, big mullet schools. And those mullet, they range. There's 2-inch mullet and there's 22-inch mullet. It's a mix of everything. So the bait is here. I know most of our bigger shrimp, they've all been gone. So you got to go down that way, down to Charleston. There's still a good amount down there, but I haven't really paid attention watching for mud minnows and stuff like that. But as far as like grass shrimp and mullet, there's a plethora of baits in here.
Yeah, yeah. When do the crabs start to hatch out?
So it's funny you say that because when we did the Madness tournament and we pre-fished all over the place down there, and we were already seeing, you go down the intercoastal and it's crab traps galore. It's like an obstacle course trying to just navigate through there. but we were up in the shallows doing some stuff, and we had already seen blue crabs going all through there. So it's got to be soon, I would think.
Okay. And the blue crabs of decent size, or like the medallion, like
they're a decent size.
$1.
I mean, you'd have to measure them. That's for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
They were all in that 4 to 5 inch range. So I think it's the same thing. It's fishing's about to heat up with everything that we're seeing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we got about 5 minutes left, and we haven't even talked lures and flies yet, and presentation. And I know guys will, they'll be all up into the comments if we don't talk about it. So let's go lures first. What are you throwing?
Fat trout tricks. Been messing with those. I'm still doing the Ballers. I will never get rid of those. I just like we were talking, I just slowed my retrieve down a little bit. TRDs are still working for that stuff in this cooler water. Be switching, coming up the prawn stars, your gulp shrimps, all that stuff. It's still going to work, and it's going to continue to work, and it's only going to get better. Messed around with some other just slim swims, junk like that.
Right.
But yeah, I'm a huge confidence guy as far as my confidence baits, and I don't even know how many assortments of size, presentation, different ones, different colors, and it seems like I have my 10 favorite, and I stick to those because in my mind they're going to work every time.
Yeah, so I don't know how many times I hear that from guys, and I'm the same way. I've got 2 big boxes sitting right here behind me, but I've got my 6 favorites in my kayak right now.
Exactly, and I don't know why I buy these other ones, because
it drives my wife Lefty crazy when we go out, and it's like, oh, I gotta sell. I need a couple bags of those, and she's like, why?
Yeah, they're on sale. I gotta get some. It's a deal.
Exactly. So are you throwing any top water right now, or
I haven't been. I think it's still, those fish are still moving kind of slow, so I haven't really been doing a whole lot as far as trying to get that. I mean, will it work? There's probably a strong chance that it would. I just haven't started doing it. So flies, I've downsized, way smaller, trying to match like those grass shrimp and stuff.
Okay.
Smaller, kind of wispier tails, thinner profiles and stuff like that. But yeah. But I haven't done a whole lot of top water. That'll be the next one.
Yeah. I'm really waiting, what I would say, another month or so, and then will be,
Usually like that sustained, like the magic number for me was always like 62-degree water temp. Like once it got above 62, that was when I started going a little crazy with trying new things and, just doing that stuff. So we're almost there.
Yeah, man. I know. It's like we take a step forward, and then I don't want to say 2 steps back, but then it's a step back, and oh man, I tell you, it's been driving me absolutely crazy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Everybody's ready to get out of the house and start enjoying it.
Yeah. So presentations with your lures. I know we kind of touched on it just a little bit, but kind of real quick, what kind of presentations are you doing with your lures?
I mean, the twitch pause. That is me. Just my pause is a lot longer for the colder water. As it starts warming up, it'll go faster. So, but I mean, twitch, and then like 10, 15-second pause. Like when you think you've paused long enough, give it like 5 more seconds.
Yeah.
But it'll all be switching here shortly. So you'll be able to go back to your a little bit quicker retrieve. So I haven't done a whole lot with mirror lures and stuff like that. I never had the greatest luck on them. I did mess around with some Iridines, the MR17s and stuff like that. But like I said, I never really found that good, strong trout bite to stick with them.
Yeah. So. Well, Captain Chris, I really appreciate you coming on. Tell everybody how they can book you up, because you're getting booked up pretty quickly right now. So
yeah,
let everybody know.
The season is upon us and our schedule's filling up. But You can go to our website. You can go through social media, Instagram, Facebook, any of those. You can online book right away and have a confirmation off the email, or call me. I always have my phone on me. Usually if I'm on a trip, I'll get a missed call and I will shoot a text message right back. I can answer a text message, but normally I don't answer the phone when I'm on the boat with a client. But call me anytime you have questions. I get tons of calls, guys coming in town. They just want to do just a fun trip. They're bringing their boat, they're bringing their kayak, or they want to surf fish, and they're asking, what do we need to be using? So I'm here to help. It's a resource that's out there, and I'll try and get you to have a good day on the water any way I can.
Yeah, guys. And I tell you what, if you're coming down, we get literally millions of people from April to October, and his dates book up quick because he's good. If you guys want to come down and get on fish, you've got to book up Captain Chris, because he's absolutely awesome. And again, it's www.carolinahookandfly.com. That's the website, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. And again, guys, if you are watching on YouTube or on Spotify, all the information is going to be down in the description. So again, Captain Chris, really do appreciate you. We'll definitely do this again. Let's do it like next quarter when we're running into summertime. And
that sounds good. No, thank you for having me.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, buddy. I really appreciate you. And guys, remember, conservation starts with you. Release a fish for someone else to enjoy. And you've been listening to Dead Calm Outdoors right here on the Outdoor Radio Network.